Right, welcome. In this particular session, we are going to continue what we started in the last session on basic data structure. So, we've covered everything on lists, basically. And today, we are going to be looking into tuples. Tuples. So, what are tuples? So, tuples are basically uh, what list uh, is. But the difference is just one difference. Tuples are immutable. So everything you can do with a list, you can do with a tuple, except that you cannot change the elements inside a tuple. So basically, we can come all the way up here and we can, copy this, Control C this, then come all the way down here and pretty much paste this. But then there are also collection of elements. They are also heterogeneous lists, tuples. So we can come here, Control D D D D. You can see tuples, tuples are collection of elements. Tuples are heterogeneous. Tuples are immutable. Tuples are immutable. You cannot change the elements in a tuple after you've created them. And tuples are created using the normal bracket or with this. You can do tuple like this. And tuples are ordered also, they are indexed too. And to create a single tuple, single element tuples are created this way. So if you want to create a single element tuple, it has to be, uh, let's say tuple A is going to be equals to, or let's say tuple names is going to be equals to something like this. Sorry, wait, okay. And it's going to be, let's say, John. And we must add an one comma, because if you don't add this, Python is going to treat it as a single value, right? So we are going to see how that works. So first thing that we want to look at is, tuple creation. How do we create tuples? So there's a creation. How do we create a tuple? The way to create a tuple is, let's say we have cities, and that's going to be um, gonna have Ibadan, Abuja, Lagos, and we can print cities and also print type of cities. So we see that the tuple has been created and printed out for us. Then the type of the data is tuple, just because we have this. And like I said earlier, still under creation, if you are creating a single value tuple or a single element tuple, you must do so in a special way. So let's say we have country, and we say country equals, for example, if I make it an empty tuple and I print country, then also print type country, type country, what happens is I get, it creates properly, like, okay, this is an empty tuple and it has a class of, a type of tuple. The data type is tuple, which is correct. But if I should come in here and put 45, just ordinary 45, normally this should still be a tuple of just one element. But it will not work that way. If I should run this, it says integer and it's printing out 45 like this, without the bracket anymore. So if you want to create a single element tuple, you add one bracket. And if you follow the last class, you might be wondering, well, so is that the same behavior with list? No. You can just have your name equals Femi and print type name. This is going to be a list. So that kind of behavior does not happen in list, it does happen in tuple. So this is how we create a single element tuple. Just always know that single element tuples require a comma after the defining, after including the element. So like I said earlier, everything that you can do with a list, you can do with a tuple, as long as that operation does not alter the elements inside the tuple, because tuples are not mutable. You cannot change the elements of a tuple after creation, right? So everything else that you can do, indexing, all of those stuff, you can do it the exact same way you do in a list. So if you want to index a tuple, you go cities and one 0. It's going to return the first city, which is going to be Ibadan. So returns first city. And if you want to slice, or you want to return the last one, like I said, exactly the same way it is in uh it's going to return Lagos, which is the last element inside this tuple, the same way it is in the list. That's how you do it. And if you want to slice a tuple, you do it the same way you slice a list. So you can go cities, and you can do from the beginning to, I think we have just to three. We have just three elements there. So let's get the first. Let me see. 0, 1, 2. So we can just do to 2. So that's going to be done Ibadan, Abuja, which is the first two elements here. Right? And if we want to just print out Abuja and Lagos, we can do Abuja and Lagos is going to be, this is -1, -2. So you can go cities and print cities -2 all the way back. So that returns Abuja and Lagos. And if I still want to Control Z, if I still want to return this one here, let me say print, then I can run that and add -2 all the way here. Perfect. So it becomes Abuja and Lagos. So that is the way you slice a tuple, the exact same way you slice um a a list. So what are some of the common operations that we can perform using a tuple? So like I said, the activities that you would um you know perform with, what do you call it, with list, you can do them with tuples also, especially if those things do not change the elements, like the elements in that tuple remains the same. So let's look at some, say, um, functions, tuple functions, and methods. So if we come here, for example, learn, you've seen learn before. Learn will work also. You can do learn cities because it does not change the element in the list. So it returns 3. If we have a tuple, let's say a tuple of odd numbers, so we can say odd numbers equals tuple in the range of 1, comma 11, comma 2. So this is going to return odd numbers between 1 and 11. So let's print it out first to see that is done correctly. So we say 13579, and let's say we want to return the sum. Let me come up here and say, back down here, I can say sum function. So we can do sum odd numbers like this, and it returns 25. So sum also works. Now, some apart from the uh, blend, we can also do the count method. So we can have count method, and we can go odd numbers dot count, and we want to count. Tuples are, you can repeat the elements in a tuple. So if you want to count the occurrence of a value, for example, this odd numbers is not actually going to give us a good uh like idea of that. So let's create a new tuple and call it um oh, let's say fruits maybe, and it's going to be a tuple. We'll have orange, apple, apple. Now let's add one in the middle here, kiwi, um I don't know, mango, and watermelon. So let's just, so if we want to count the occurrence of each one of them, so we can do fruits dot count, and we can count apple. So if we run that, we get two. So it's telling us apple occurs twice inside this particular tuple. So that is the count method. So the dot count method for a tuple returns, the first occurrence of that particular element. Then there is also the dot index that returns index method, and it returns the first index, the first occurrence of this apple, for example. Where is it? So we do fruits dot index, and we give it apple. If we run that, this is one because apple is at position one here. This is position zero, position one. If we give it mango, zero, one, two, three, four. So if we do mango, so we get four. So those are some of the uh, um, list tuple function and method. And things like sorted, you can use them, they are going to work, because sorting does not change the elements in a tuple. So basically everything that works in list works in tuple along, as long as that stuff does not change the element. It's not an operation that changes the element in a list. Right. So some other common operations that we can do with tuple, see some other common operation. Say tuple operation is, first thing is we can concatenate two tuples. So we can concatenate, say tuple concatenation. So we can have fruits plus CDs. And we can run that, and we see that it has concatenated those two tuples together. So we have um you know Lagos, Abuja, Ibadan, then we have all of the watermelon. This concatenation thing in a list, the way you would do that, I don't know if we touched on that particular method, is dot extend. Whenever you want to take multiple things inside one list, put it in another list, that is dot extend. But in tuple, you can just do your addition. So this is like an equivalent of dot extend. So, but like I said, there are a lot of methods and we cannot like cover everything. But you're going to be seeing them like whenever the use for them comes up, you're going to be seeing them. The other one is repetition. So you can actually like multiply tuples, and that's going to be with asterisks. So you can do something like asterisk like this. So if you do that, um, uh, this is supposed to be an integer. Sorry, by 2, I think. So yeah, so we get this particular tuple has been repeated twice. So we have this is one instance of the tuple, and this is another. And if you do multiply by 5, you can imagine it's going to get really, really large. So that is one thing about some one of the operations that we can do. This is tuple repetition. Then the last thing I want to look at on that tuple is unpacking, something called tuple unpacking. So we can unpack a tuple, tuple unpacking. So what does that mean? I can say, for example, we have this cities tuple like this, and I can actually like unpack each of these variables, each of these data, each of these strings. I can unpack them into their own variable. Something like this. I could go Oyo, comma Nigeria, comma Ikeja is equal to cities like this. Then I can print out any one of them. Print Oyo, and it's going to print out Lagos. Ibadan. Sorry. Can you see Ibadan? If I should say Nigeria, it's going to return Abuja. And if I should go for Ikeja, that right there is going to return Lagos. So this is the way to unpack. And actually, this unpacking thing is Python's default way of um, bundling like elements together, especially when you don't specifically specify that um, this should be a tuple. What do I mean? This is what I mean. I could say 50 comma 75. 75. And the way this is going to come out is as a tuple. Like Python just knows automatically. So if I should come here and say type of 50 comma 75, it is not going to say integer integer, it's going to say tuple. So oh yeah, that's true. We are supposed to put those two inside a variable. So we say values equals 50 comma 75. Then we can print type values, and if we run that, it says tuple, even though we didn't like put this bracket, we didn't like add bracket. So the way Python takes multiple things, especially when you specify them, is with tuple, and that's the same reason why we can actually unpack a tuple into multiple variables. So yeah, that is tuple. And what is actually the use case for tuple? The real use case for tuples is when we actually are not interested in changing the elements that we have. So, sometimes you want performance, and whenever you use a list is open to, change and all of that, but you just create something that is much more portable. You are not interested in changing it later. It uses less memory, so it's faster. Second thing is that it is safer. Imagine you are creating something that you don't want to change at all. Like that thing remains constant. All of the elements in that particular thing remains constant after creation. In that case, also, you do not want to use a list. You want to use a tuple. So that is that on tuple, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Thank you for joining in.